windows lining one side of Damavand's bridge, followed by his Iranian hosts, a group of bearded Revolutionary Guard officers. Voronyan's elegantly tailored Savile Row suit and handmade Italian shoes stood out plainly among their dark green uniform tunics, rank emblazoned shoulder boards, and wide-brimmed caps. Surrounded by these hard-faced men whose brutal tactics kept Iran's radical Islamic regime in power and spread terror around the globe, he appeared to be nothing more than a cultured and prosperous businessman. He found that a useful facade, one that concealed his true nature, ruthless, predatory, and utterly self-interested. The countdown is proceeding normally, one of the technicians stationed on the bridge behind them reported in Persian. His words were echoed in Russian by a translator assigned to Voronyan. The test vehicle is completing its transition to a vertical launch position. Voronyan raised a pair of binoculars to his pale gray eyes and peered out through the windows. There, several kilometers away, a large barge motored across the sea. A gleaming white rocket topped by a black nose cone swung slowly upright from its deck, hoisted into position by a powerful hydraulic crane. Moments later, it locked into place, towering more than 25 meters above the barge. He nodded appreciatively at the smooth completion of this delicate operation. While not large compared to the enormous heavy-lift rockets developed by the United States, Russia, and the People's Republic of China, the Zolzhana space launch vehicle still massed more than 52 tons. And the solid fuel engines in its first two stages and its liquid propellant upper stage motor could send a good-sized payload into space up to 500 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The launch pad's stabilizers and motion compensators are engaged, the technician said calmly, parroting reports radioed to Damavand by the flight crew controlling operations from inside an armored trailer bolted to the barge's aft section. Go for launch in 60 seconds. Still focused on the distant rocket, Voronyan nodded again to himself, this time pleased by the demonstrated efficiency of his Iranian hosts. Tehran had carefully scheduled this test for a relatively short window, when there were no American or Chinese spy satellites in position to observe the launch. Their infrared early warning satellites in geosynchronous orbit would certainly detect the Zolzhana's rocket plume as it roared aloft, and provide tracking data on its trajectory. But the absence of visual and radar imagery would still conceal certain key elements of this planned test flight from both Washington and Beijing. The last remaining seconds sped past in a monotone blur of engine status and other system readiness reports relayed from the flight crew. All around him, Voronyan sensed a sudden spike of tension as the critical moment approached. Finally, the technician called out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Across the sea, the barge disappeared suddenly, hidden by a billowing cloud of gray smoke, a cloud lit from within by a bright orange glow. Moments later, the bright white rocket appeared above the cloud, riding a scintillating pillar of fire and trailing a plume of exhaust as it soared skyward and arced toward the northeast. It was accompanied by a loud, crackling roar as the first sounds of liftoff finally reached the Iranian frigate. Voronyan tracked the missile as it rode higher and higher, smiling openly now. He knew that launching the Zolzhana to the northwest instead of the northeast would have better simulated an operational flight, but it would also have sent the rocket's payload arcing high over Ukraine and Poland, apparently on a course toward Berlin or London. And there was no point in alarming those in the West. Not yet, at least. Once the rocket disappeared from sight, he turned his attention to a monitor set up at the back of the warship's bridge. Its screen showed flickering images of the Zolzhana captured by long-range tracking cameras as it arrowed onward through the upper reaches of the atmosphere. Puffs of white vapor blossomed abruptly around the midsection of the rapidly accelerating vehicle. Suddenly, the bottom third separated and fell away, tumbling end over end back toward